Good morning, guys. I hope your day is starting as fantastic as it possibly can. This is not a video about the polls or the latest polling results in the Canadian election. I'm going to do a little bit of an information video that highlights some of the challenges that the different parties will face in trying to form a government, whether it's a minority or a majority. So I thought it would be a good idea to go back and look at the results of the previous election in 2021 and look at what the popular vote was for each party and how many seats were they able to win with that amount of votes. Now, the results might surprise you because in Canada, we do not actually vote for a prime minister. We vote for a party. And the way it works is that every region of Canada votes for their local representative. We call that person an MP or a member of parliament, okay? And the whole country is divided up into different ridings. So I thought we would look back at the results of our last election in 2021 and look at what the results were, how much of the popular vote that each of the parties get, and how many seats, how many representatives were they able to elect with that popular vote. And the results are a little bit surprising because the way our system works here in Canada is we don't vote directly for a prime minister. We vote for regional representatives. We call those people MPs, members of parliament. And the country is divided up into many, many different ridings. I believe there's 344 separate ridings in the country. And each one of those districts or ridings will elect a representative from one of the parties. And then what we do is we add up all the representatives, and it's the number of MPs, the number of elected representatives from those ridings that determines which party can govern. So the last election was September 20th, 2021, and at that time there were 338 seats in the House of Commons. 170 seats were required for a party to win a majority, 170 or more seats. Let's look at the results here. And the Liberals received 33.12% of the popular vote, and that translated into 157 seats in the House of Commons. Now, surprising, in that election, the Conservative Party received 34.34% of the popular vote. They received a higher percentage of the popular vote, and that translated into 121 seats for them. They were able to win less seats with more of the popular vote. I'm going to explain that in a minute here. The Bloc Québécois succeeded in winning 32 seats with 7.63% of the popular vote. The last party that we'll consider here is the NDP. They received 15.98% of the popular vote and 24 seats in the House of Commons. So the results in 2021 were such that the party that received the highest percentage of the popular vote, the Conservatives, came in second in the election. The Liberals, who had the second highest popular vote, 33.12%, received 150, or were able to win 157 seats. That was not enough to form a majority because at that time, like I mentioned, there were 338 seats in total in the House. 170 seats were required for a majority. The Liberals did not achieve that. So what they did is they made a deal with the NDP. They added their 157 seats with the NDP's 24 seats, and that got them over 170, and they've ruled that way until this election. Now, the leaders have changed, but let me explain now how the popular vote and seat total, how that's going to be a challenge for each party in this election. Okay, now we're looking at a snapshot of the latest polling. Now, I don't want you to concentrate on the numbers and just say, oh, I don't believe those numbers. Polls are all made up. This is not about the actual numbers. I'm going to try and make a point here of explaining how this works. As it stands now, let's just assume that these are correct, okay? Or let's not even assume they're correct. Let's just take this as an example. Right now, the polls show that the Liberals and the Conservatives are virtually tied at about 37%, all right? Within 1 percentage point of each other. The NDP currently is at 11.4%. This is popular vote, but let's not get fixated on whether the actual polling results are meaningful or not. Let's just look at the example here. The Bloc Québécois is polling 6.42% of the popular vote. And let's look at first at the New Democrats polling at 11.4% of the popular vote compared to the Bloc, which is polling half that amount in popular vote. With that percent of the popular vote, this illustration here predicts how many seats either of those two parties will win. And the New Democrats are expected to win approximately 6 seats based on their popular vote. And the Bloc is expected to win 26 seats with their percentage of the popular vote. How can that be? I just told you that the New Democrats are polling twice as high in the popular vote as the Bloc. The reason is the percentage of popular vote from the New Democrats is spread across the whole country fairly evenly, perhaps a little bit more in Ontario and British Columbia. Whereas the Bloc, their 6.4%, is totally concentrated in Quebec. So there are a lot of ridings across the whole country, other than Quebec, where the New Democratic Party is in third place. Again, if they're consistently in third place at around 11%, they run the risk of not winning anything. Okay? So that's the extreme example, the Bloc and the New Democrats, how their popular vote and seat totals just mismatch all the time. Now, let's look at the Liberals and the Conservatives, because this one has always been a hurdle that the Conservatives have to get over to form government. And I'm not talking about the Liberals possibly making another deal with the New Democrats if they win a minority. This is just a mathematical problem with the Conservatives and the Liberals. They are tied in popular vote now. Let's just assume that that's correct. If that is the result, if they both achieve 37% of the popular vote, and we go back to this projected seat total, and we have the Liberals projected, and we can do the min-max here. We can go like this. The Liberals are projected to win in between 128 and 209 seats. And the Conservatives are predicted to win between 108 and 173 seats, with the line to get across the majority now is 172. It's up slightly from 2021 because there's more seats in Parliament now as the country's population has increased. How can that be? How is this possible? If they both receive the same level of popular vote, if they both receive 37% of the popular vote, how can the Liberals potentially win 209 seats and the Conservatives max is at about 173? How is it possible that the Liberals are skewed on the side of victory and the Conservatives are skewed on the side of defeat? Well, the simple answer to that is the same effect that I just showed you between the Bloc and the New Democrats, although it's not as severe as that. The key factor is that a large chunk of the Conservative popular vote lives in Alberta and Saskatchewan. In those two provinces, they're significantly ahead, okay? So they're so significantly ahead that even if they dropped 5 or 6 or 10 points in the polls, they probably would still win the majority of the seats in Alberta and Saskatchewan. So they have a stronghold there of extra votes that won't help them win in Quebec and Ontario and Atlantic Canada. The Liberal support is more evenly divided across the country, and they are in more ridings, in more districts, close to winning. You know, they're going to be either first or second in many ridings across the country. The Conservatives, on the other hand, are going to be way out ahead as an undoubtedly first in 2 provinces in the country, fighting it out with the Liberals in the rest of the country. So what tends to happen is, unless that balance changes provincially, the Conservatives have to win by, and you could do different calculations, but by 2 or 3 or 4% in popular vote just to win. Okay, if they're tied in popular vote, they have a higher percentage chance of losing. And that played out in 2021. The exact eventuality happened where the Liberals had less of the popular vote and actually got more seats, substantially more seats. And this is just a function of the system and the large diversity in Canada. It's a big country, and the politics in Alberta is very different than the politics in Quebec, and the politics in British Columbia are completely different than the politics in Ontario. And so there's a lot of microcosms throughout the country. All right. But I just wanted to do this quick video to explain that, because when you start looking at polling, and everyone likes to look at the headline number. There's some of you that say, well, I don't look at any polls because they're all, they're all wrong. If you look at the headline numbers here, it's not enough for the Conservatives to be tied or slightly ahead. They have to increase their gap by 2, 3, 4, 5 points to win the most seats. And the NDP, they're always walking on the edge of a cliff, because you can see here they're at 11.4%, and they're projected to get somewhere between 0 and 5 seats. And in 2021, they only, I think, achieved, what did we say, 16% of the popular vote, and they were able to achieve 24 seats. So a 5% drop for the NDP means annihilation. Right? So popular vote and seat totals and representation in the House of Commons is not one-to-one. And I just wanted to point that out in this video, more of a information for you. So if you're following the election and you hear numbers and you hear about polling and that kind of thing, you think about this in the back of your mind. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope that maybe made you think, or kind of helped you understand the way the system works, and maybe kind of, I don't know, did it clear it up? Maybe it didn't clear it up. Maybe it just confused you more. Leave some comments in the comment section. I hope you're enjoying the content. Subscribe if you are, and I will catch you on the next one with, who knows, the next topic.